Hi, welcome to the Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. I'm Justin Janowski, your host. And the first two times I tried to start a Christian coaching business, I went out of business fast. I got just a couple of clients, made barely any income, and closed down shop. The third attempt, though, was dramatically different. I collected over $250,000 in revenue my first year. We've now done millions of dollars in sales and helped over 1,000 Christian coaches. And the difference was between attempt number 1 and 2 and attempt number 3 that I learned a system around sales and marketing that had integrity, that was fun, and that could work for me. And I learned how to surrender my business to God and trust Him while taking massive action. That's what this podcast is about. It's about helping you learn the sales and marketing strategies, the business design strategies to have tremendous success in fulfilling the mission that God has called you to. Today, though, we're in the middle of a series about how to show up in leadership as a Christian coach, how to lead well. And we're in the middle of a 3-part series. This is part 2. So if you enjoy this episode, go ahead and jump back a week to part 1 or forward a week to part 3, which is coming soon. This is the 15 ideas that I want to share with you about a coach's guide to leading well and how we can show up as true leaders in business and in life. In the first episode, we went through the first 5 keys to leadership. And in today's episode, we're going to go through numbers 6 through 10. Next week, we'll finish up with 11 through 15. So let's get to it. The 6th law or truth around leadership for Christian coaches is that true leaders strike the important balances. This is really important from a number of different angles. But as a Christian coach, it's important for us to strike the balance between work and leisure. If you hustle too hard and you work too much as an entrepreneur and you sacrifice too many of your evenings and weekends, you're lacking the balance that you need with your family and with God. You're lacking the balance you need in Sabbath. Those things are so important. And so we need to balance out how much time we're working and how much time we're spending in leisure or in taking care of our family and spending time with God. Also, when we're coaching our clients, when we're on sales calls, we need to balance love and challenge. There's a place for a supportive, loving environment where we just receive people and accept them exactly as they are and love them exactly as they are. And as a coach, as a leader, there's also opportunity for us to challenge and be a little bit bold with our clients and prospects at times to help them have the breakthrough that they need. And this doesn't mean that it's in the absence of the love and support, but there's a balance here that we're loving and supporting while we're also challenging, pushing, pressing a little bit to help people get more of what they want or become more of who God created them to become. Oftentimes, this looks like just asking a bold question that helps people experience and see a greater truth for themselves. We might also want to pay attention to how we strike the important balance between what we spend our time on in building our business. There should be a balance in how much time you spend in marketing versus sales versus client service versus planning, all these different things. And balance isn't the same for every single person. Balance in how much you work versus how much time you spend with your family is going to vary person to person, especially if you're in a phase of life where you're single versus you're married, or you're married versus you have kids. That balance is going to look different. And for each of us, the balance between support and challenge with our clients and prospects is going to look and feel a little bit different. The goal is to find what balance looks and feels like for you. And there's so many other important balances that you could strike. The question to ask yourself is, am I striking the important balances for me? Or where am I right now out of balance in a way that isn't aligned for the season of life that I'm in or the season of business that I'm in? And to make that change. The 7th key to leadership for Christian coaches is that true leaders pause regularly. This is critically important to success in business and life and to sustainability in our business. Make sure that you have pause and break during your day. Make sure that you have pause and break during your weeks. Make sure that you're going on vacations. Make sure that you're taking some time off. It's relevant and good and healthy for you to just take a day off occasionally during the week. And pause and replenish and refuel and refill. And how you do this, how you vacation, how you take time off, how you pause during the day, that's going to be different for each person as well. But you need to find your structures around that pause. Beyond the pausing to take a break and replenish and refill our tank, it's also relevant for us to pause in the way of planning, to not always be in action, not always be in the business, but sometimes zoom out a little bit and work on the business. One of my mentors used to put an hour in his calendar on Fridays for planning. He would schedule it. And what it was a time where he wasn't going to have a computer. He wasn't going to have a phone. He was just going to sit in a space by himself with a journal and pen. And you could do the same. You could invite God into that space. It could be time for prayer, time for journaling, time for thinking. It was a thinking hour for him. And he would come up with really interesting thoughts and ideas, and he would journal about them. And this was a very valuable time for him. That's something that you could implement as well. Taking the time to pause and to slow down and to consider the bigger picture of what you really want, where you're at in relation to what you want. I encourage you to spend time each quarter reevaluating your goals and your tactics and your strategies and pausing so that you have enough space and time for that. Taking time away from our phones, away from the bustle and the busyness of our day to think, to pause, to pray, to breathe is so valuable, and it's going to make you better for the hours that you're on. The eighth idea about leadership that I want you to receive today is that true leaders have an awareness of their emotional wake. True leaders, what I mean by this, when you think about a wake, I think about having a speedboat and having a lake house when I was a kid. We were really blessed. We had the opportunity to, for a few years, have a lake house, and we had a speedboat. When the speedboat goes through the water, it leaves behind it a wake, a wave that goes out on both sides of where the boat was. And those waves affect more than just the boat that's going through the water or the water itself. If a fishing boat was sitting by us and we drove past it in our speedboat, the waves would rock the fishing boat and affect all the things around it. And so the same thing is true with our emotions. We have an emotional wake. Every one of us does. And we're going to affect other people with our emotional wake. And we're going to affect our clients. We're going to affect our team. We're going to affect our spouse. We're going to affect our kids based on the way we are showing up emotionally, what we're feeling and experiencing emotionally. Now, this doesn't mean that we should try to be in a perfect emotional state all of the time. That's not possible or healthy. In fact, it's important for us to feel what we feel and to experience our emotions. But it's to recognize that there are probably relationships and people that you can trust, that you can share and process your challenging emotions with, and other places where we want to protect the people around us and be thoughtful about our emotional wake. When we are leaving the workday and going home, might you want to have some transition time, something to prepare your emotions for your family so that you can be at your best for them? It could be valuable, of course, before every sales call, speaking engagement, and other important meetings, coaching calls, for you to be thoughtful about your emotional wake. We teach people to have a pre-call ritual, a routine that they do the 1 or 2 minutes before they begin an important Zoom call or go into an important meeting, where they can pray, breathe, stand, move, whatever works for you to get yourself into a peak emotional state where you're feeling good, because emotions are contagious. And so making sure that we're in that great emotional state can prepare us for the key meeting, for the sales call, for the speaking engagement, for the time on a date with our spouse, for the time with our kids. We all have an emotional wake. And the idea here is to be intentional about the emotional wake that you're bringing to people that you're influencing. Vulnerability, transparency, all really good to bring those emotions, but also to be primarily intentional about what we're bringing to our clients, what we're bringing to our family, and to just have a greater awareness of how we're feeling and to take action in the area of making sure that we prepare our emotions and we care for ourselves in such a way, and this is through the pausing that we talked about before, in such a way that we can be at our best for others more often. I need to work on this. We all need to work on this. There's not a standard of perfection that we're ever going to meet, but let's be aware enough to get better at intentionally showing up for people in the way that they need to receive. And then the ninth idea is that true leaders play the short game and the long game. If you've been following me for a while, you probably have heard this content from me. The idea is that in our business, we need to play the short game. We need to take actions today that can lead to sales this month. We need to take actions today that can lead to growth in our business this month, that can support us financially, that can lead to immediate impact. Tom Ziglar calls them income producing activities, IPAs, income producing activities. We need to be doing those things. We need to be playing the short game. We need to be caring for the life of the business right now, the survival of the business, the provision of your family, the impact that you're called to deliver today. That's the short game. And it's so important. Simultaneously, though, while we're playing the short game, if we want to be a great leader, we need to also be playing the long game. The long game is building a long-term brand, taking intentional action in a slow, thoughtful way that's going to produce results over an extended period of time. So while we're aiming to make sales and grow our business and have an impact today, let's also care for the next 5 years, the next 10 years in the way that we're showing up today. And the long game can be things like having a podcast, creating content consistently, developing patterns that we can show up in again and again and again for the next 5, 10, 15 years that are going to allow people to know us and recognize us. This is how we show up in the relationships that we have in the marketplace. This affects our reputation. We shouldn't sacrifice the long game for some kind of shortcut in the short game. That's not going to be effective. We need to balance the two and play both games well. The short game, how can I have success now? How can I have an impact now? How can I create income now, this month? The long game, what can I do consistently every single week for the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years to build the brand that I want to build and to have the impact that I want to have and to become the person that God created me to be in my business, in the marketplace, in my family, and more. Important to find ways to play both games well simultaneously. And the 10th idea, the last one for today, is that true leaders rely on great people and great systems. Here's the truth. None of us were meant to do this alone. If you're an entrepreneur, I know how lonely it can feel sometimes to be an entrepreneur, especially if you're a solopreneur. The reality is, God created us for community and relationships with others. And so for you, if you're recognizing your need for community and relationships with others, knowing that great leaders rely on great people and great systems is critically important. As you grow and scale your business, surround yourself with the right people, the right systems, the right technologies to make things lighter and easier. This is obviously critically important for a business that wants to scale. If you want to do multiple 6 figures in business, you want to have a 7-figure business someday, critically important that you build with the right team members and the right systems. This is something that we're aiming to do at Faith to Influence. And sometimes scale and figuring out how to level up is messy. I've made plenty of mistakes in this area, but I'm aiming to surround myself with the right people. I'm aiming to surround myself with the right systems, the right technology to enable our growth and scale. But even for a small business, if you want to run a lifestyle business where you want to work just a handful of hours a week, maybe you want to earn an extra $15,000, $30,000, $50,000 a year. You're not trying to do $500,000 or $1 million. You maybe don't need to have a ton of team around you, but you should still rely on great people and great systems. What I mean by this is find your network, find your community, find the relationships that you can discuss and share about business with, that you can pray with, that you can build with. Just having the right friendships even makes such a big difference. For me, I really value having relationships with people who are with me on the faith and family and values side of things, because they can counsel me, they can support me, they can help me remember who I really am. But I also love not just having that church family community. I like integrating that with people who understand what I'm going through from a business standpoint, who are also entrepreneurs, who are also trying to figure out sales and marketing and scale and coaching and handling and navigating the challenges of team and clients and finances and profit and loss and all those things. When I can marry that business community with a Christian faith-based community that feels like it's aligned with me in all areas, that makes my life so much easier, so much better. It makes it so much easier for me to be at my best. And a lot of those kinds of people are the kinds of people that I end up collaborating with, sharing referrals with, um, you know, praying with, who are praying for me. And I value that so much. These are my encouragers who lift me up when I'm feeling down. And you should have the same. And even as a small lifestyle business, it's important for you to consider, what are the systems in your weekly schedule, in your daily life, the technologies, the things that make things light and easy for you. If you've got questions about systems or processes, you've got questions around building with great people, feel free to send me an email, justin@faith2influence.com, or if you just want to drop me a note about anything, especially if you're a regular podcast listener. You can always send me an email at justin@faith2influence.com, or find me on Facebook, Justin Janowski, and add me and send me a direct message. If you're hearing this and you're like, wow, I want more high quality, high caliber relationships in my life, and maybe you're at the solopreneur phase where you're not hiring team or investing a lot in technology and systems and processes and things like that, we've got a community that's incredible. It's called Christian Coaches Academy. And it does just what I mentioned. It marries the business side of things and entrepreneurship, coaches who are going through the same things that you're going through, trying to build something similar, with the faith-based, values-based, family-based like side of things as well. And it's a really beautiful community. We've got over 100 Christian coaches in this community, amazing people that I'd love to introduce you to. And you can find out more about that at www.f2itribe.com/CCA. Christian Coaches Academy, CCA. And it's the number 2 in the middle of F2I. F, the number 2, the letter I, tribe.com/CCA. But it's so important. It's so important for all of us to rely on great people and great systems to become the best of who we were meant to become. And that includes having a great mentor. That includes having great clients and like inviting and working with the right clients who are the right people for us. It includes having great friendships and, of course, great business partnerships, people that you send referrals to, who send referrals to you. There's so many collaboration opportunities. And even if you don't have team full time, you might consider, what does your business need right now? And is there somebody who could help you with a short-term project? Somebody you could hire, a friend, a colleague, who could work with you for 2 weeks or 2 months to help you solve a key problem that would make your business run smoother and easier and give you more success over time. I really believe in that. Those are the 5 for today. True leaders strike the important balances. They pause regularly. They have an awareness of their emotional wake. They play the short game and the long game, and they rely on great people and great systems. When you employ these things, you're going to have a lot more success and a lot more fulfillment as a leader in your business and in your life. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next week for part 3 of the Coach's Guide to Leading Well. Cheers. God bless you.